in this series. The series that is kind of tough for us. If you're serious about your walk with God and you're saying, all right, maybe I need to pray some serious prayers, we're in this dangerous prayer series. And last week was kind of interesting. We asked God to lead us. But it's simple. It's a simple thing because prayer is just a conversation with God. And it's just talking with Him. And undoubtedly our prayers are too safe, that we make really safe prayers. So we're making some dangerous ones, including the one for today. In our prayer for today, I asked Sue to come on up and she's going to read Psalm 139 with me.
Actually, we're going to read it together. It's my honor to do this. This is from the Word of God, Psalm 139.
Come hold one side.
Sure. This says, for the choir director, a Psalm of David. O Lord, you have examined my heart and know everything about me.
You know when I sit down or stand up.
You know my thoughts even when I'm far away.
You see me when I travel and when I rest at home.
You know everything I do.
You know what I'm going to say even before I say it, Lord.
You know you go before me and follow me.
You place your hand of blessing on my head.
Such knowledge is too wonderful for me, too great for me to understand.
I can never escape from your spirit. I can never get away from your presence.
If I go to heaven, you are there.
If I go down to the grave, you are there.
If I ride the wings of the morning, if I dwell by the furthest oceans.
Even there your hand will guide me, and your strength will support me.
I could ask the darkness to hide me, and the light around me to become night.
But even in darkness I cannot hide from you.
To you, the night shines as bright as the day.
Darkness and light are the same to you.
You made all the delicate inner parts of my body and knit me together in my mother's womb.
Thank you for making me so wonderfully complex. Your workmanship is marvelous, how well I know it.
You watched me as I was being formed in utter seclusion, as I was woven together in the dark of the womb.
You saw me before I was born.
Every day of my life was recorded in your book.
Every moment was laid out before a single day had passed.
How precious are your thoughts about me, O God. They cannot be numbered.
I can't even count them. They outnumber the grains of sand.
And when I wake up, you are still with me.
Oh God, if only you would destroy the wicked. Get out of my life, you murderers.
They blaspheme you. Your enemies misuse your name.
Oh Lord, shouldn't I hate those who hate you?
Shouldn't I despise those who oppose you?
Yes, I hate them with a holy hatred, for your enemies are my enemies.
Search me, O God, and know my heart.
Test me and know my anxious thoughts.
Point out anything in me that offends you.
And lead me along the path of everlasting life. Thank you, Sue. Let me read that again. Search me, O God, and know my heart. Test me and know my anxious thoughts. Point out anything in me that offends you, and lead me along the path everlasting. How many people enjoy going to see the doctor? I thought I'd say that, like maybe I'd get somebody to raise their hand. I love going to see my doctor. And not many people like to have their annual checkup. You know, personally, I think it's nice to go and see my doctor every once in a while, just to say hi to him, because mine, they move all the time. So every couple years I go and say hi to him, and just to introduce myself, because, you know, when I really need him, then he'll be there, right? So I go in, and this is how every checkup goes. Every start of it, it goes this way. He comes in and says, And how do you say that name? And I say, there's a town in the Netherlands called Eenigenburg. I'm royalty. He goes, oh, very well. And he just runs right by it. And so he says, well, what should we do today? Well, I was kind of hoping that you say I'm good for another 100,000 miles. And he says, well, let's just take a couple of tests and we'll see what we see. And then sometimes there's this snapping of the glove that puts shivers down every guy's back right there. And then sometimes it goes that way. But either way, we don't like going to the doctor. Well, we just don't. We don't like what the doctor's going to tell us. Undoubtedly, all of us go there and he's going to say, well, you aren't missing any meals, are you? And we know what that means. Well, you're not exercising a lot, are you really? You really should take a look at your cholesterol, your sugar intake, your salt levels. You should take a look at it. And we know what he's going to say. Don't we? It's almost like, why do we have to go? We know what the doctor's going to tell us at our checkup. When's the last time we had a spiritual checkup? Spiritually, you had a checkup. We're mind, body, and spirit. We're a soul. And each part needs a checkup. We all need it. And all the times we like to self-examine. We're like we're our own doctor. Because we know ourselves. Spiritually, we know what's going on. We don't dig too deeply. We don't dig too deep spiritually. No. We'll just leave that there. I'm good for another 100,000 miles. Good. I'm just good. I want to encourage you to talk with the soul doctor today. Because deep down, spiritually, this is what we need. We need that dangerous prayer of, God, search me. Every part of me, I need you to search me. Do the tests. Go as deep as you need to go. I want to be healthy spiritually before you. Because the thought here is total transparency before God is that first step towards spiritual purity. And we want to live pure before our God. We want that transparency so that God says, I'm living in a relationship with you. I don't want anything to stand between us. And our transparency has more to do with our humility than it has to do with God's ability. He needs us to say, okay, I need you to do the tests. I need you to search me as deep as it goes. And humbly, I need to say, you're the only one who can do this. That's where we need to go. We need to say, search me, O God, and know my heart. Test me and know my anxious thoughts. Point out anything in me that offends you, and lead me in the path of everlasting life. And that's what we're going to do this morning. If you're willing to make that dangerous prayer. Here's the irony. There's irony today that we all know. We all know this. We know that God will find in our hearts and our minds. We know what's there. And more so, we want to keep it there. We're just like, God, don't dig so deep. Just leave it there. There was this town in upstate New York. Back in the 50s, it was the Hooker Chemical Company. They had this 70-acre plot of land, and they would use it kind of dumping their chemicals there. There was a nice little area. They filled it with clay. That was the thinking at the time, that, all right, we'll have a little barrier there. We can dump all our dangerous chemicals there, and it won't go anywhere. It won't go into the water. Well, we know that things happen now. Well, this company back in the late 60s, they sold this property. They buried everything about 25 feet below the surface, and they just covered it over. And they sold it to a development company. So there was 70 acres. They built about 100 homes on top of dangerous, toxic, cancer-causing chemicals. And if you know anything about the 70s and heard about the Love Canal community, they built all these homes on top of these toxins. And pretty soon they get this huge rainstorms that just pushed up all these barrels. And all the seeping, it came into basements. And it wasn't long before they started having birth defects in the newborn children. That people were having medical issues. That there were miscarriages and there was other diseases. And even one woman that was living there said, we knew they put chemicals in this area. You know, they filled it over. We knew that, but we had no idea the chemicals would invade our homes. See, this is how we do life spiritually sometimes. No, we know what's there. And if we leave it alone, it won't affect any area of our life. And we'll just leave it there. There are spiritual toxins in our hearts. Then we know that they're there. I'll just go through a couple. Back in 4th grade, these people were bullying me, and I still hold that resentment. And anytime I think of 4th grade, they come up in my mind. Or they did this thing against me, and I feel powerful when I hold on to my hatred for them. So I will not forgive them because they broke my heart. We hold on to these toxins deep in our hearts, and we'll cover them up and say, no, if I don't see it all the time, then it must be okay. It won't affect any other area of my life. But what's going on inside of our hearts and our minds always has a way of coming out in our words and our actions. Jesus told other people this. In Luke chapter 6, he says this, a good person produces good things from the treasury of their good heart. And an evil person produces evil things from the treasury of their heart. What you say flows from what's in your heart. And we know this. We've got toxins in our hearts that they come out. They've affected us. It comes out. So Jesus goes to the heart of the problem because usually the problem is in our hearts. And that's where he goes. He wants you to be honest and transparent before God. God, here's my heart. Search me. Know my heart. Test me. Know my anxious thoughts. See if there's anything that offends you. And lead me along the path of everlasting life. What are the toxins that's inside of your heart? Buried. That we don't talk about. We don't tell any other people. Even though people see the mess that comes out of our lives, we know that it's down there. It wouldn't be so bad if it only affected us. But it affects other people around us. And even more so, it has an effect on us eternally. Because our eternal life starts now. Just think of this a second. David is talking to God and he's saying, all right, what offends you, God? What offends you? What makes you angry at my life? What offends you? What is an affront to your holiness? I don't know. Sometimes I'm going, I don't know, God. What is it? I've tried to take care of all these other things. What is it that really offends you? What is it that drives you crazy about me, God, that you're saying, stop this? What is it? God is furious about our sin. He really is. We don't take it that seriously. God takes it seriously. He says, stop it. Stop it. He's white hot angry about this. God, and here's even more so. God is more concerned about where our heart is than the individual behaviors we do. It's not that we say, no, he's not concerned about our behaviors, but he is more concerned inside of our hearts, what we're feeling, what is our relationship with him. Oftentimes we forget that it's a matter of our heart, and our actions come out of that. Our words come out of that. And he's saying, I need to clean this up. You've got a toxic dump in there. Is it time to get that taken care of? Let's just take care of it. Because your eternity with God starts now. It starts now. You are getting a taste of eternity with our God right now. Some of us just don't understand that part of it. See, your eternal life started when you chose to follow Jesus. That's when it started. It's not going to start like when you die. That will be, there's no barriers between you and Jesus anymore. But it starts right now. See, what happens was, you said, I need to be transparent before my God. Because I know I got a lot of sin in here. And you said, all right, God, I need to figure this out. I can't remove it. And he said, you know what? I'm going to send Jesus. And he will remove your sin. Do you trust that he will do this for you? And when you said yes, that's when your eternity started. Because you got a taste of Jesus, a taste of this grace, this mercy on your soul. And I can imagine what that's going to be someday. But we get a taste of it now. A cleanness, a clean break between our sin and being in relationship with our God. And sometimes we're at risk of missing that. There was Rich Mullins writes songs that always resonate with my heart. And he wrote this song, One Thing. And this is what it says is, I don't want to lose the eternal for the things that are passing. These things are going to go someday. I don't want to miss the eternal. Because what do I have when the world is gone if it isn't for the love that goes on and on? We hold on to these things in our hearts. Oh, they did this to me. That's going to go to the wayside someday. Why are we holding on to that? He's saying, I'm going to be with my God someday. I want to think eternal. I don't want to miss the eternal for these things. Chasing after things, holding on to grudges, not forgiving others. David says, search me, O God. Search as deep as you need to go. Test me. Point out any offensive thing in my life. Go that deep. There was a man who was overwhelmed one night. Just overwhelmed. And he went to visit his pastor. He knocks on the door. And the pastor comes there. Pastor, come out and I need to talk to you about my problems. And the pastor knew this man. And he says, you come on in here. Let's talk about your sin. Because there's things on your heart that we need to clear away. We need to ask Jesus to get that out of your life. Can we strip away all the weight that is on our souls so that we can run the race that God has put before us? That's where we're at. This is what we've been called to do. Say, okay, God, search me. I want to run this race of life with you. Would you just clear away all this stuff? I need to be right with you. And with the rest of our time, we want to get practical. Because it does some good to talk about this. But we want to get practical here. Maybe today is the day that you actually say, God, search me. Search my heart. To test me. Point it out, God. So what we're going to do right now, we're just kind of the end of this part. We're going to just be quiet for it. Katie's going to come up and she's going to play in the background. And we're going to be quiet for a while before our God. You know, a minute tops. You know, some people just can't, no, wait a minute. We don't normally do this in church. It's okay to say, God, search me. And we're just going to be quiet before our God. So let me start off our time here. That we close our eyes and just be with our God. Our God, David asks us to pray a dangerous prayer. And let me lead us into this prayer. And then we'll be quiet for a while. Search me, O God. Know my heart. Test me and know my anxious thoughts. Point out anything in me which offends you. And lead me along the path of everlasting life.